Hare Krishna. So we'll chant the Jai Radha Madhava prayers. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Krishna Balaram, Jayo Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jayo Krishna Balaram. Jayo Gauranitai, Jayo Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jayo Gauranitai. Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Ananta Dev, Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Ananta Dev. Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Jai Sri Sri Krishna Balaram ki, Jai Sri Sri Nitai Gauranga ki, Jai Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Ananta Dev ki, Jai Sri Srinivas Govind ki, Vishwa Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. So please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So we'll be reading from 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 10. So I will recite the words. You can all repeat after me. Please repeat. Brahmani adaya karmani. Brahmani adhaya karmani Sangam tyaktva karoti yaha Sangam tyaktva karoti yaha Lipyate na sa papena Lipyate na sa papena Padmapatram ivambasa Padmapatram ivambasa Brahmani adaya karmani Sangam tyaktva karoti yaha Lipyate na sa papena Padmapatram ivambasa. So we'll read the word-to-word meanings. So please repeat after me. Brahmani, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Adhaya, resigning unto. Karmani, all works. Sangam, attachment. Tyaktva, giving up. Karoti, performs. Yaha, who. Lipyate is affected. Na, never. Saha, he. Papena, by sin. Padmapatram, lotus leaf. Iva, like. Ambasa, in the water. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme God, is not affected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. So please repeat the translation. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme God, is not affected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. I'll read the purport. Here, Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. The material world is a sum total manifestation of the three modes of material nature, technically called the Pradhana. The Vedic hymns Sarvam Etat Brahma, Tasmad Etat Brahma, Nama Rupam Annam Cha Jayate, and in the Bhagavad Gita Mama Yonir Mad Brahma indicate that everything in the material world is the manifestation of Brahman. And although the effects are differently manifested, they are non-different from the cause. In the Ishopanishad, it is said that everything is related to the Supreme Brahman or Krishna, and thus everything belongs to him only. One who knows perfectly well that everything belongs to Krishna, that he is the proprietor of everything, and that therefore everything is engaged in the service of the Lord, naturally has nothing to do with the results of his activities, whether virtuous or sinful. Even one's material body, being a gift of the Lord for carrying out a particular type of action, can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. It is beyond contamination by sinful reactions, exactly as the lotus leaf, though remaining in water, is not wet. The Lord also says in Gita, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya, resign all works unto me, Krishna. The conclusion is that a person without Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of the material body and senses, but a person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is the property of Krishna and should therefore be engaged in the service of Krishna. The sense of purport. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitanyena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So as I mentioned, this is from the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And the 5th chapter, the title is Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Very practical chapter. And recently my daughter was asking me, what is your favorite chapter in Bhagavad Gita? So it's very difficult to say that, right? Because Bhagavad Gita is like a jewel. Every part, everywhere, everything is so valuable, so precious. Like Prabhupada used to say, like the Krishna book, where all the stories of Lord Krishna are there. Prabhupada said it's like a ripened mango. Wherever you bite, it is sweet. So you can't say, this part is good, this part. So in the same way, in Bhagavad Gita also, it's very difficult to say which is the, your favorite or which is the best part. Because it is like that ripened mango. Everywhere is so valuable, so precious. But still, I thought and I said, actually, 5th chapter is my favorite. This is this chapter. Why? Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. Because it's very practical. Krishna gives very practical instructions. In our day-to-day life, we are living, how we can apply this knowledge, right? All philosophy, everything, definitely all other chapters, a lot of philosophy of karma, of gnana, of different modes of nature, of the creation, of the administration. Definitely it's all very valuable, very important. But, just from one perspective, practical application, I feel this chapter is good in that sense. We are all working people living in this. We need practical, tangible takeaway, right? So this chapter, fifth chapter, as you know, we are covering the prominent verses of Bhagavad Gita. So this is the first chapter we are discussing. First verse from the fifth chapter. This is the 10th verse. So there is some background to this verse where Krishna is saying, right? Here is saying that one who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme God, is not affected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. So what is the context? Why did Krishna, mention this to Arjuna? So we'll see in the beginning. I will just read the translations, right? 10th verse. So I'll read the remaining 9 translations. It will give us a context of what is the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna over here. So Arjuna begins asking, Arjuna said, "O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?" So you see Arjuna was little confused with the knowledge, because Krishna is giving knowledge, and in the knowledge, renouncing the results of activities is mentioned. So some kind of renunciation is mentioned. Now when we hear the word renunciation, means give up everything, don't do anything, right? But then he is saying, but you recommend to work with devotion. So Arjuna is confused. What is this? Tell me, giving up all activities, or should I do something? Then Krishna replies, the blessed Lord said, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of works. So here Krishna is saying, yes, both ways are there. Sometimes we see, in India, holy places when you go, they completely renounced everything. Sometimes you see young people also, they've taken up saffron or something, right? They've given up, and they're not doing any activities. Even in Hare Krishna movement, you will see young people, but they're very busy. They're working morning to night. But sometimes people just renounce, do nothing. They're just sitting somewhere or doing things like that. So Krishna is saying here, but of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. Now Krishna is saying something, right? Actually, this is better. You have to work in devotional service. And then Krishna further says, one who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. So the real renunciation definition Krishna is giving, what is it? That you should not desire or hate the results of activities. So if you are detached to the results of activities, you are as good as you are renounced. Prabhupada gives an example of a teller in a bank. Right? He's counting so much money. Somebody's coming and they're depositing a lot of money. He doesn't become very happy. Oh, a lot of money is coming. And somebody comes and withdraws a large amount. He's giving away and he's not becoming sad. Oh, what is this? A lot of money going away. He's totally renounced because, he's not affected by the result. Okay, deposit comes or withdrawal goes. He's just an employee, right? He doesn't really, he's worried about the results of the activities. So at a high level, detachment works like that. In our own life, we can actually be detached. Because as the employee knows, I am employee of the bank, and ultimately it is the bank's problem, not my problem. In the same way, if a person in Krishna consciousness, like Prabhupada is saying, he knows everything, Krishna is ordaining, everything Krishna is managing. I only have to do my duty. Why should I worry, whether this endeavor has been successful or failure? Because ultimately Krishna is the supreme. Krishna says that is the formula for peace. How can one be peaceful? Krishna says, Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhrudam sarva bhutanam gnatva mam shanti michati. Krishna is saying, Bhoktaram yagna tapasam. I am the enjoyer of all the yagnas and tapasas, right? Tapasya. And sarvaloka maheshwaram, you say not just one world or two worlds or loka, all the worlds, universes you can see, I am the Maheshwara, I am the supreme lord of everything. So Krishna is saying how powerful I am. Right? Generally, we know some powerful people, we feel little confident. I know the MLA, I know the governor, I know the minister, I know the prime minister or president, right? Now here it's saying, Krishna is so powerful, he's the most powerful. Now such a powerful person, what is he? Do we have any relationship with him? He's saying, Suhrudam sarva bhutanam. Oh, he's my well-wisher. Just like if you know some very famous person and sometimes you talk, you say, hey, any problem, just call me, I will take care. So there is some confidence, right? Oh, this very big person is my well-wisher. Anytime I have a problem, he can help me. So Krishna is saying same thing. I am your well-wisher. Suhrudam sarva bhutanam. Every one of you, I am your well-wisher. Who am I? I am the supreme. I am the most powerful. I am, the enjoyer of everything. And then gnatva mam shanti michati. By knowing this, one can be peaceful. There is no other peace formula. Sometimes they say you meditate, you do this, you do that, breathe like this, like that. That is all temporary relief it will give. Real peace formula is that this Krishna, the supreme powerful, is my well-wisher. So what am I to be worried? Just like the employee, he says, bank has employed me, it will give my salary, doesn't matter how much withdrawn and how much deposited. That confidence he has. Bank is more bigger than just little deposits and withdrawals that are going. So in the same way, Krishna is my well-wisher. So what is there for me to worry? There's a nice quote. It says, don't go to God and say, God, I have a big problem. It says, tell your problem, I have a big God. Right? So if you have that intent, if you have that mindset, what is the big problem? I have a bigger God. I can endeavor, I can overcome it. That's why Krishna says, Mat chitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyasi. He says, Mat chitta, if you are conscious of me, if you are conscious of this fact, sarva durgani, durga means actually difficulty. Mat prasadat, by my mercy tarishyasi, you will actually overcome. Any difficulty you will overcome by being conscious of Krishna. Right? So that is the peace formula. And that is what Krishna is saying here. One who is not attached to the results and he doesn't hate or desire the activities. Why? Like that employee, Krishna is there, what should I worry about? Right? He will take care. Such a person, liberated from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. So Krishna is saying here, right, how beneficial if you are in that consciousness. So Prabhupada many times says this peace formula we should remember. We can become very peaceful. That is the only way to be peaceful, or else there is no other way. Just like another example we give, if a person is admitted in a hospital and is a very well-known doctor, he has full confidence on him, and if the doctor sends a nurse sometimes to poke an injection, it will be painful, but he knows the doctor is good, I don't have to worry about this pain. And sometimes if the nurse says, actually doctor has determined that a surgery has to happen, a particular part of the body has to be cut and operated. And obviously cutting a part of body is going to be a lot of painful and healing, but still he has confidence. No, the best surgeon, the best doctor, he's still not worried, isn't it? Even if a part of his body is being cut, he's not at all worried. Why? Because he knows the doctor is in control. But somebody else comes with a small blade and starts cutting you, you will become totally panicked. Who is this crazy person? What is he doing to me? Right? So this is again same thing. If you are conscious of the fact that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, is my well-wisher, what is there for me to worry? Right? I should just do my duty. Many times I think the problem is not the problem actually. Right? Whenever we face a problem, that is not the real problem. The real problem is what should I do now? There are so many options. There are so many things you can do. There are so many ways you can react. There are so many ways you can respond. So I always feel the problem itself is not a problem. What to do when I have a problem is the biggest problem. And then people become implicated if they don't do the right thing, if they do the wrong thing. The same problem can be solved if you do the right thing. Right? The same problem cannot be solved if you do the wrong thing. Let's say a car somebody is driving is stuck at the cliff. He doesn't know what to do. Now doing the right thing, if he puts in reverse and comes back, he's saved. Now doing the wrong thing, by mistake if he hits the accelerator, it's over, isn't it? So the problem is not really the problem. Being stuck on the cliff is not the problem. Not knowing what to do now that I have a problem is the real problem. And that's where I think that is where Bhagavad Gita comes into picture. It gives us the knowledge what to do. Doesn't matter what the problem. If you know what to do, even it could be the biggest problem, you can easily come out. And that is what Bhagavad Gita is all about. That is why this is so valuable. That is why following Krishna's instructions is the most important thing in our life. So that is why it's so important. We all should read Bhagavad Gita. We all should understand Bhagavad Gita. We should assimilate Bhagavad Gita. And we should lead our life as per Bhagavad Gita. Then any problem, we will tell the same thing. When the big problem comes, you will smile and say, oh, I have a bigger God than you. And you can conquer it. Right? So that's an important thing that Krishna is saying here. Right? And further, Krishna is saying, only the ignorant speak of karma yoga and devotional service as being different from analytical study of material world Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. So now Krishna is saying that this karma yoga, acting in devotional service, right? And just the fact karma yoga working, he says there is no different. It's not different than analytical study of the material elements, the knowledge, right? The Sankhya Yoga. Actually, second chapter was very much a Sankhya Yoga. Krishna is talking about the soul, the body, the different elements and everything. But Krishna is saying here, actually working in devotion is non-different than Sankhya Yoga because the result of knowledge is actually practically applying it. If you go to the doctor, you say, I have a severe headache. The doctor gives you a tablet, you take this and the problem is solved. That is like karma yoga, you're doing what the doctor said. You said, no, I want to understand how this works. And the doctor might say, in the blood, there are so many nerves and this and that, there is this chemical, it will go do this, do that. All knowledge is also good. But after getting all knowledge, what he will do? He will take the tablet, isn't it? If he doesn't take the tablet, then the purpose is lost. So either you acquire all the knowledge and do it. If you acquire all knowledge, naturally you will do it. Even without acquiring knowledge, if you do the right thing, you still get the same result. So Krishna is saying, just, you should not separate Karma Yoga and Sankhya Yoga. All the acquiring knowledge is non-different, because once you acquire the knowledge, you will do the right thing. And then, Krishna further says that one who knows this position, reached by the means of renunciation, can also be attained by the works of devotional service, and therefore sees that the path of work or the path of renunciation are one. So Krishna is answering Arjuna's question, the path of renunciation and path of working. Right? And then I'll just read one more verse here. So Krishna is saying, unless one is engaged in devotional service of the Lord, mere renunciation activities cannot make one happy. The sages purified by the works of devotion achieve the supreme without delay. So Krishna is emphasizing that one has to work in devotion. Right? We talked about the practical aspect, working. How do we work? We should work in devotion. And further Krishna says, one who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, right? What happens when we work in devotion? We become a pure soul. And who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him, right? So just like Krishna is Suhrudam Sarvabhutanam, the devotee also becomes Suhrudam Sarvabhutanam. He becomes the well-wisher of everybody. And a perfect example is our spiritual master, Swami Prabhupada, right? At a very old age, he also became well-wisher of everyone. He wanted to spread this knowledge without caring for his health and circumstances. He traveled all the way at the age of 70 from India in a cargo ship and came to New York. Right? Can you imagine? At the age of 70 in 1960s, and when he came, it was cold weather, there was snow, nothing that has been experienced in India in such an elderly age. Right? So the same thing, they become very dear. Right. So and then, so Krishna is saying that working in devotion is, makes one a pure soul. And then the previous verse of this particular verse, now Krishna is saying the practical aspect, again practical. What is the practical aspect Krishna is saying? A person in the divine consciousness, right? Now what is this consciousness we're talking? He is working in devotion. So what does this working devotion mean? Krishna is actually answering that also in this 8th and 9th verses. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged from their objects and that he is aloof from them. So here is the result of realized knowledge, that he knows very clearly what is matter and what is spirit. Everything is material around us, all the interactions, they're all happening with the matter. But the spirit is like the driver within the body. And then here, this verse that we're saying, where Krishna is saying, then, so one, how does he work then? He performs his duty without attachment and surrenders the results to the Supreme God, and therefore is not affected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. So here all these performing activities in devotion can make a big difference. What does it do? It will actually totally free him from sinful reaction, and actually he will be liberated. So to illustrate this, this particular verse, I just thought I can tell a story. So I just made up a story, and I thought I will tell this story, which we can kind of relate to, connect to, and see how working and doing our day-to-day activities can make one either liberated or completely implicated. The results. So because I made up, I was innovative. So this is a conversation in 2070, future. So we go to the future. And in Vrindavan, there is a very saintly person. And Vrindavan is a holy place. A lot of saintly people are there. So a young boy goes to one saintly person. And, he was very inquisitive, young boy. So he wanted to ask something interesting to that person. He says, can you tell me, based on your experience, based on your realizations, can you tell me something very mysterious and puzzling. And the saintly person says, you're a very interesting person, interesting question you're asking. So you want to hear something very mysterious and puzzling? He says, yes, I want to hear something mysterious and puzzling. He says, okay, so I'll tell you a story. And then he says, let's go back in time. Right? This is 2070, right? He says, let's go back in time 80 years. So year 1990. So two children, two boys, let's say, they were born in a metro city in India. And they were born in a metro city in a well-to-do family, like a middle-class family. And they were born at the same time. You pick, like, say, Jan 1, 1990 or something. They were born at the same time, same city, actually in the same hospital. He says, oh, this is interesting. What does it mean? He says, you see, based on your time of birth and the location, your whole life, horoscope chart can be made. And what it will tell, Janma Aishwarya Sutasri, how much wealth, you will accumulate, how much education you will get, how much beauty you will have, and what kind of parentage, where you will be born, will be very similar. He says, oh, is it? Yes. So that is why both of their children, both families had almost similar profile. Both were born very similar. If you do the horoscope of both of them, you just exchange them, you won't find any difference. That means both were destined almost same things. Same kind of education, same kind of parents, same kind of life, same kind of money, same kind of wealth, family, relationships, everything was very similar. He says, oh, is it? So tell me what happened to them. He says, so they were born 1990, so around 2015, they graduated, they went to good schools, they studied, metro cities, they graduated, they got jobs, in 2000, you can all think, and they got IT jobs. So they were working in IT companies, campus interview, they got selected. And 2015, they came to US. And they came to US, they were working here. And they went to Bay Area. He's saying where they went. And they got these IT jobs and, they were working, similar companies, similar profile. Both had very similar, what they're getting, destiny is almost same. You can't find any difference. And around 2018, they got married also. Both were married. And 2020, they had children. And their life was going, and this is both were in Bay Area. They worked hard. They grew up their children. They gave them good education, and both were charitably disposed. Also, they were giving some charity, and then they were married. They had children. They had family life. So once you have family, children, they engage the children, give them good education, engage them in some extracurricular activities, and then the children went to good schools and good colleges. And meanwhile, they would all gather. They would have families. There would be family gatherings. They would go out and eat in restaurants. They would meet and they would sing, dance, have party, eat good food. They would all community life they were living. And then they grew elder. They saved some money. They bought homes. Everything is happening in Bay Area. I'm just making it up, right? So they were living in good homes, and slowly they both retired. Children went to good colleges. They also got good education. And after retirement, whatever energy they had, they were doing some service based on what they knew. They were helping some places. They were both charitably disposed, so they were willing to do some service and all. And then finally, 2080, we were in 2070, right? So they were around 80 years old. He says both recently passed away. Right? Life is over. They passed away in US, America. He says, what happened to them? What is their destination, both of them? Then this boy says, I think they might have got exact same thing again. They did the same set of activities, right? So they might have been born in some other place. Maybe again same time. I don't find any difference. He says, no. He says, no, what happened? He says, one went to hell. The other got liberated and went back to Godhead, went back to Vaikunta. He's like, wow, how did this happen? Now he is saying, this is very puzzling. They did the exact same things. And he also said one thing, they were vegetarians also. So both were vegetarians, they did exact same things. They got married, they had children, they went to good colleges, they did some charitable activities also. How is it that one went back to hell and one went back to Vaikunta? He went to Goloka, he got liberated. Can you tell me what happened? He says, yes, there was one very interesting incident that happened in 2018 when they were around 28 years old. And they took a decision, they made a choice that changed their whole life. He says, what is that incident? Can you please tell me? So he says, in 2018, there were some devotees of Krishna Balaram Mandir. They were going and distributing books. They went to this apartment complex. They were knocking the doors and they were giving these books. Generally, they would give Bhagavad Gita, Krishna book. Krishna Balaram Mandir, they're all about spreading the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Right? So he says, this one person, now I'll give the name, I'll call him F. So the F, when the door was knocked, he saw through the keyhole. He saw this, some Indian people, some temple, I see they're holding some books. I said, again, they will ask some donation, this thing, hassle. In India, I've seen all this, here also they're disturbing. He doesn't open the door. So the book distribution devotees, they knocked, walked away. Then they went to this other, they were living in the same block, right? Very similar horoscope. Another block, I will give the name, let's say his name is A. So A is living there. So same thing, they knock the door, A sees through the keyhole, but he was surprised. Oh, what is this? Indian people, Indian Tilak, something, they're distributing books. He opens the door and talks to them. And obviously, devotees tell the benefits of Bhagavad Gita and all that and request him to please take Bhagavad Gita. And so he takes the Bhagavad Gita. And then that was the one that made a difference. And everything else, the trajectory changed. And that is how this happened. He says, no, tell me more. What happened? What did F do? Why did he get implicated? Why did he go to hell? He says, see, he was working in this big IT company and he was earning money. The shareholders, the company was making profit. So what happened? Even though he was vegetarian and charitably disposed, all the enterprises, the owners, the shareholders, they were involved in all kinds of other activities. They were investing in companies which involved gambling, intoxication, or meat industry, or other sinful activities, and all that. So whatever he was earning, he was contributing to that company, and he became implicated because he started getting the karma of all the negativity that was being done. So he got implicated. And then he says, what about this other person who took Bhagavad Gita? He says, well, he used his money to start going to temple, start connecting, and he was doing service for the temple. So he was not implicated, exactly as Krishna is saying here. Even though doing all your activities, because he is connected to Krishna, he was freed and there was no implication. And then he further says, well, what about both? I heard they were going out and eating in restaurants and all that. He was vegetarian. He says, even though you're vegetarian, Krishna says, Bunjate tetva agam papam e pachanti atma karanat. Everything belongs to Krishna. If you don't offer to Krishna and eat, it is sinful. So even though he was going to vegetarian restaurants, actually he was not knowing he was eating sin. Then he says, what about Mr. A? He also went to restaurant. He says, no, they opened a Sri Radha's restaurant, so he was eating in Sri Radha's. Everything was offered to Krishna and he was eating nice prasadam. Oh, is it? Oh, that's good to know. And then he says, how else did he get implicated? He said, they were gathering and they were having these parties and calling everybody and singing and dancing and partying. That also everybody were not devoted, all activities, everything resulted in sin for Mr. F. Then what about A? A was also partying and singing and eating and everything, but he was going to the Sunday program. So nicely he was chanting, singing, dancing, and he was eating prasadam. So he was not implicated, he got liberated there also. So like this you see, then growing up children, he says, yeah, they were teaching something, but this A, he put his children in, say, Sunday school, and he was helping the children to become liberated. In Bhagavatam it is said, Pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, guru na sasyat, namochayet samupeta mrityu. If you cannot liberate your children from the repeated cycle of birth and death, you should not become father, you should not become mother, you should not become guru, like this it says. So, but this person, Mr. F, he didn't care. He was giving some education, but he was not liberating them, not liberating children. So actually he incurred sin because of that. He did not help his children to go back to Krishna, to go back to Godhead. But he put in Sunday school, so his children were becoming devotees. So he was again freed like this. So like this throughout the life, if you see after, and then charitable contribution. What about that? He says Mr. F was charitably disposed, but because he was not connected to any devotion or anything, he started giving to some cancer research organization. And what they were doing, they were actually doing very horrible experiments, killing all kinds of animals, and he was getting even more implicated. Even though he was giving charity, he was thinking he's helping, but he's helping a cause where, there is even more sin involved. And what about this Mr. A? What was his charity? He said, Krishna Balaram Mandir was building a Goshala. He was giving for Goshala. He was giving for the temple festivals and, book marathon, distributing this knowledge. So he was completely freed. He was not at all implicated. So like this, it goes on. And then after retirement, what did they do? Obviously, Mr. A, after retired, he engaged his time and energy in helping in the temple, doing some services. And what did Mr. F do? F was doing whatever he could and earning money and helping all other people. He was thinking he was doing good. Unfortunately, he was getting implicated. So this is why he said, I called him F, because he failed in his life. Everything he did, very similar circumstance. One choice, that the activities he was doing was not at all connected to Krishna. The purpose of human life is to attain liberation, attain mukti, is to go back to Godhead. He has totally lost that purpose and he has become failed, and now he is now suffering by taking another birth and going to hell. And what did Mr. A do? A got A grade in his life. Everything, he took Bhagavad Gita and everything he connected to Krishna, everything he got A. In raising children, in doing charity, in doing his activities, in doing service, everything he got A and he passed. Why? The only difference is that if you connect to Krishna, the choice he has made, he has taken this Bhagavad Gita, he understood the message of Bhagavad Gita, and he utilized his life in connecting to Krishna and helping others connect Krishna, and they all got benefited, right? So if you see like this, though we might be getting a very similar circumstance as anybody else, we might be doing very similar things like anybody else, raising children, eating, growing up, saving and serving and everything, but just the cause, where you put that energy makes so much difference. So that is why making the right choice is the most important thing. And we are all fortunate by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna Balaram. We are all A ranking students now, but it is in our hands. We want to remain A, or if we are slackening, we might become B grade, C, D, E, F, we might become F also. So Prabhupada says, once you come in touch with Krishna consciousness, you can either become the most fortunate or the most unfortunate, right? If we don't utilize this information, we will become the most unfortunate. We will get F grade. But if you utilize it, you will become the most fortunate, right? So I'll stop here. In the interest of time, we will start chanting. And again, all A grade activities is what we recommend. So please continue doing those, chanting, reading, hearing, eating prasadam, and continue this chanting. It will keep us always in our A grade. We won't lose our grade anytime, right? So let's all chant together, and then we'll move on to the next program. So please repeat after me. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we'll all chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.